We can start. So let me introduce myself. My name is Paolo Dario, and I'm a professor at the Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna in Pisa, Italy. And I'd like to first of all, to welcome all of you. Thank you for participating, to thank my colleagues for participating in this workshop at ICRA 2021. We are going to ask an intriguing, we may say so, that is the topic of dinosaurs, that is large companies that sometimes are innovative, sometimes are not, versus unicorns, which are the startup companies that grow dramatically. And the point is, this relation between dinosaurs and unicorns is let's say, common case. But at the time of COVID-19 pandemic, this may represent or may have a different flavor. And in fact, the question is how robots may save, how and if robots may save business dinosaurs from extinction by turning them startups again. The organizers of the workshop is the IEEE RAS Technical Committee on Digital Manufacturing and Human-Centered Automation. You can find the mission of the technical committee on the official website, and you can also subscribe here as a member of the TC to be part of these activities. It is free. And also, we are very happy that this workshop has been endorsed by other TC. For example, the one on automation in logistics, and actually Professor Pia Fanti is the co-chair of this. But also the TC on automation and healthcare management, the TC on aerial robotics and unmanned aerial vehicles. And our colleagues from Sevilla are very active in this. And the TC on autonomous ground vehicles and intelligent transportation systems. Showing that there is a wide interest in this question and debate. And the co-chairs of our TC are Professor John Wang from the University of Hong Kong, Professor Birgit Vogel-Heuser from the Technical University of Munich, and Professor Menchu Zhou from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. This is already, I will tell you later about the workshop program, just to show you that actually all the speakers have or will soon record videos, like 15 minutes, full size contribution. You can find this on the YouTube channel already. So you can now and will in the future look at this recording. But now, today, we have a live discussion. So all the speakers are here live for this workshop program, workshop that is recorded. And so it will also be available later on the same YouTube channel. So in brief, what is the question? The question is that the coronavirus pandemic has caused tremendous and dramatic effect on in the reduction of activity and capacity for many businesses worldwide. And of course, there are many examples that we can consider of this, but also how, after the large impact of this pandemic, robotics, including aerial robotics and other kind of robotics, service robotics, has encouraged and has accelerated solution to react during the lockdown, and also to restart after the crisis. We are considered two main fields among the many: logistics and automation. And the discussion is if and how robots could help to bring old-fashioned businesses back, we say in a nice manner, perhaps, to the age of their startups, okay, where they were eager to grow, ready to make experiments, open to make mistakes. And how this resilient or responsive behavior could be fostered or accelerated by close cooperation of innovative startups and maybe acquisition by large companies. So the first point is automation robotics can be used to react to the COVID-19 pandemic. And here are some examples taken by real cases that were also described last year in a papers I co-authored on science robotics, and that points out the role of robots for disinfection, delivery, vital sign monitoring, laboratory testing, and of course more, including the use of robots when the doctor and the patient have to be separated physically. And certainly the use of robots, like in this case by this Chinese group published on the IEEE transactions on medical robots and bionic, is a very nice demonstration of how this can be done. And this is an initial approach, but of course many other applications could be considered here. Actually, Amazon is an outstanding example of how the pandemic has created opportunities to grow, and also an example of how Amazon, that to say the truth, has never been a dinosaur, but a company that is growing dramatically very fast. Actually, they created a robotics division. So first they acquired Kiva Robots, so a startup company, and then they developed this so that today Amazon is one of the companies that is most clearly representing the potential of robotics and automation in warehouse, but in general in delivery. So, for example, this is a case among the many of a company like Zipline, which has developed services for delivering vaccines to remote areas. But again, there are many other cases of large companies and small companies taking advantage of this. Another area that showed that was dramatically impacted by the pandemic was agriculture. Here there is, for example, a sign that appeared in New Zealand last year. Workers wanted, because due to pandemic, fruit could not be picked, and also harvesting was very difficult. So they use a robot in open fields or as drones or in automation in the greenhouse, for example, became very important. And then there is an entire new frontier of robotics in logistics. We are very interested in this area, for example, shipping. Shipping. So autonomous shipping are coming, sailing ships, or like zeppelins, or automation for cranes, or virtual reality simulation, even exchanging data and not goods, and then building by 3D printing. So there are a number of very, very interesting opportunities for robotics, and many of them are developed by small companies. Automation robotics could be used to restart after the COVID-19, and so COVID-19 clearly tested our resilience We were used to a very intense social life, while today, fortunately, getting out of these, say, dramatic situation gradually, but certainly moving towards a different kind of interactions between, for example, humans and doctors. Europe, I'm mentioning this among the many cases, is reacting very, very strongly to accelerate a restart by major investment, what is called the Next Generation EU, the recovery plan. And the key word for Europe in this transition toward the future, driven by the COVID-19 pandemic, is digital and ecological transformation and transition. But doing this, regulation has also become a very important issue. So regulation of artificial intelligence, regulation of robotics, but also the understanding that a new kind of industry that is called Industry 5.0, that is human-centered, sustainable, will become. And there are large injections of capital due to the enormous increase of saving, for example, saving of families, saving of companies. So there is a lot of money circulating in the world, and looking for interesting applications that could be the case for large companies, but also for startup companies. So this is the question. So I go back to the workshop program. I already anticipated what we are talking about. So we are recording this live. We are having this panel discussion live. But you can find extended recording of all the presentations. And I'm going briefly to introduce our guest speakers. So the first topic is about economy, finance, and business model. And we have here Professor Sami Mahroum from the Dubai Future Foundation in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, and from the Solvay Brussels School of Economics and Management. And we have Professor Giovanni Dosi. Professor Giovanni Dosi is one of the most cited scientists in the world. He has been a fellow of the Nobel Prize Stiglitz. And we will give sometimes a controversial, because I know Giovanni very well, point of view about the questions we are addressing from, again, very high profile economy, like, of course, Sami Mahroum, finance and business model. And then we have technical speeches. So we have Arturo Baroncelli, who has been a Comau manager and president of the International Federation of Robotics. We have Francesco Ferro, who has been the founder, and is the CEO of PAL Robotics in Spain. We have Dr. Howard Cheung from the University of Hong Kong. And then we have about logistics, three distinguished speakers, Professor Pia Fanti from the Polytechnic of Bari in Italy, Professor Marcelo Ang from the National University of Singapore, and Dr. Maza from the University of Seville. And that's it. So you can post your question to the speakers by using the Slido chat at this link. So all the participants can ask questions in real time by connecting to this link. And now the speakers have the floor. So our first speaker is Professor Sami Mahroum. I'd like him to
Thank you, Paolo.
Start.
Thank you, Paolo. Can everyone hear me? Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm delighted to be here with you. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm delighted to be such a distinguished panel. And I try as much as possible in the 5 minutes I have to unpack some of the complexity that is involved in the
Sami, however, your voice is not very clear.
Oh, yeah? Okay, headphones. I'm afraid that whenever it matters, my technology will let me down. Can you hear me better now? Oh, can you hear me better now? Yeah, I can't hear you either.
Not very much.
Okay.
Can hear you, it's just choppy.
And try again.
It's better.
No?
Yes, please go on. Yeah.
It's better? Okay. So, so now we'll be talking through the speakers of the laptop. Yeah, I was saying I'll try as much as possible to unpack some of the complex issues involved in the topics related to this session. When it comes to the business opportunities that lie ahead or that have emerged from the COVID experience, and particularly from the lockdown, I'd like to share with you a number of observations. The first observation that I made about a year ago is that this, in the countries that have some of the highest level of robotics deployment, so robotics density per thousands of workers, countries like the US, Germany, Korea, that level of automation of robotics engagement did not spare them the disruption and interruption caused by the COVID assault attack on human agency. So it is so true that you have a lot, a big chunk of the productions automated with very little human intervention. The fact that the rest of the economy was locked down, that the demand was not there for their products and services, meant that in the absence of protected, preserved demand activity, these companies could not rely only on automating the supply side of production. So that's one thing that I think became apparent. So you could automate your factory entirely and become independent of human labor, but that will not secure your business because you're still dependent on the human consumer in order for your business to grow, be sustainable, and to thrive. So one takeaway from the COVID-19 crisis is the necessity to invest in technologies that preserve and enhance human agency at the individual level. And by that, I mean at the level of the consumer and also at the level of the worker sometimes. So the worker that would continue to be able to contribute and participate in economic life in multiple ways. For instance, we were able to keep our jobs and to increase, in fact, our productivity by the fact that technology had enabled us to continue participate remotely in our jobs and to engage in a productive way. And that has had a positive impact on all these industries and sectors where technology was available to enable workers and consumers to continue to participate in economic life. So we saw this in all sorts of media and education and work that could be conducted over digital platforms. And we saw how big retail companies quickly invested in last mile delivery in order to help consumers basically consume their products. So the next phase of opportunities lie in increasing the automation and the capability of automation at the level of the individual agency. So if we were to think of the principal agency concept or framework and think of employers and businesses as being the principals, and the fact that we have been investing a lot in enhancing their agency as principals and making them less reliant on labor, I think the next phase would be to think about the enabling the agency of the agents, of the workers, but also of the consumers ultimately, so that the economic activity can continue to go ahead next time there is any adverse risks affecting human ability to participate in economic life, be it on the production side or be it on the consumption side. I'm probably not the right person to give you examples of that, but I could think of assistive technologies, of augmented reality, haptic technologies, exoskeletons, collaborative robots, all drones, unmanned ground vehicles, all these automated technologies that can extend human agency in her and his desire, intention to produce or consume something. I mean, to engage in economic life. First place, perhaps, to look at where governments can make a difference is to look at a basket of so-called essential goods and services and think, how could we automate not only the supply side, but also the demand side, the demand capability, the consumption capability of consumers using technology. What kind of technologies we should invest in, be it through incentives provided by government or through entrepreneurial activity in the economy, in order for us to keep the economy open next time we are facing a threat like the COVID-19, and who said we may not face even a greater risk in the future where we are not even able to go outside at all. So this is really, I mean, these are the few things that I wanted to share with you within the 5 minutes allocated to me, and then I'm happy to follow up on these thoughts in the remaining time allocated to this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sami. Sami, I'd like now to give the floor to Professor Giovanni Dosi.
Well, my few remarks will be, even say, more conservative than Sami, in the sense that the question whether there are really dinosaurs and hopeful unicorns.
Giovanni, your voice is very low. Maybe you can speak closer to the microphone. It's clear, but a bit the volume is low.
I am as near as possible. Is that okay?
Okay, go on.
Well, whether there are actually dinosaurs and hopeful unicorns, the analogy with the hopeful monster in biology, I think boils down to the question whether the so-called fourth industrial revolution is actually there in terms of major discontinuities, both at the level of technologies and organization. Now, let me be extremely provocative. Are there new technological paradigms? In production, you have a convergence of artificial intelligence and robots. Is it really a revolution? My feeling is not really. Not really, because you have got a lot of continuity. First, you have got robots will continue to be stupid for quite a while, and artificial intelligence is not going to be too intelligent for quite a while. Is there discontinuity in information processing and digitalization? Absolutely yes. I mean, the major advances have been in the use, processing of information. Second, are there discontinuities in the organizational arrangements? Again, on the production side, not really. I mean, for example, you have got a major continuity in equipment production, also in terms of convergence between robotics and artificial intelligence. Yes, you have startups, and some are here, but I'm expecting the major producer of machine tools and robots historically to be there as major players. There is a very little role for unicorns, except for big users in the subset of robotics that is about logistics and manipulation of objects. And that is, for example, the entry of Amazon and FedEx among the innovators in robotics. You have big entry of digital monopolists and many unicorns that are going to die, in my view, in information processing. Google, Facebook, Amazon. I would consider even Uber one of the unicorns that are going to die. The also because, I mean, is intrinsic in information manipulation that are phenomena of extreme increasing returns. And therefore the tendency is inevitably toward monopoly. This brings about a major problem of public regulation, or even, I mean, even if you read a right-wing textbook, a free market textbook, it tells you, if you, in these circumstances, you have got either to heavily regulate or nationalize, because you don't have competitive equilibrium in technical terms. What I see, and this is very dangerous, that old firms, whether dinosaur or not, and new, tend to turn into sharks both in terms of social control and labor relation. I mean, if you read the account of what the labor relation at Foxconn, you remember what Engels wrote about the first British Industrial Revolution, it sounds like a dinner party in comparison to the first Industrial Revolution. I mean, it's a mass slavery. Or think of Amazon, and in which you have the robotization of humans. That is, I mean, if there is a worry, I think the transformation of all the dinosaurs or not, and new unicorns or not, into new types of sharks. And this should be a real worry. That is, forms of control of society and labor relation that did not exist over the last 2 centuries or so. I stop here.
Thank you very much. I think I thank both Professor Mahroum and Professor Dosi for their provocative opinions. Actually, they set the table with the points of view that are extremely relevant also for the remaining speakers who are actually involved in technology. So what they said is essentially that on the one hand, it would be important to enable users and workers with advanced technology, but at the same time, robotics technology is probably not adequate to make a real change, whereas digital technology may be the discontinuity that we are looking. Okay, I'd like to ask Arturo Baroncelli to, with his solid experience in industrial robotics, to add some considerations. 5 minutes, please. Thank you, Arturo.
Okay, hello everybody. So the title of my speech is this: Artificial Intelligence, 3D sensor, AGVs and additive manufacturing are helping to industrial robotics to fulfill the promise that industrial robotics made more than 50 years ago. What do I mean with that? Industrial robotics was born in 1961, and it appears a unicorn at the time. It seems to be the solution where flexibility was needed. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, massive application of industrial robotics were done, and the reality was a little tougher than expected. Why? Because a lot of hard automation was needed in a cell. If you consider grippers, conveyors, pallets, things like that, in a typical cell, 90% was spatial, and only 10% was in reality flexible. And so that was a problem, and it has been for many years. Grippers, for example. Gripper changes offset to a limit these problems. Some humanoid hands were invented by researchers, but never arrived to industry. So that was a big problem. Grippers, which are the hand of the robots. More lucky was the substitution of fixture and jigs with vision system. We started with 2D and then 3D, even more reliable, and so the need of oriented and fix the path was a little bit offset. In my opinion, a meaningful result was the beam picking. Why beam picking? Because beam picking is picking up a piece from a box. Also in the first application, one piece, one gripper, but still you could handle the path in a box in a random way. Nowadays, what is happening? We are also offsetting grippers. Why? Because with the use of artificial intelligence and deep learning, there are many applications now where you can pick, first of all, different objects in a box or whatever, and using a very easy gripper or caps. If we do this with the cobot, we also offset another problem, the famous fences. So we are taking out little by little all the spatial and hard part. And if we consider also the AGV, another technology, we can get rid also of conveyors and pallets and have a better layout. So AGV can be used in two ways. The traditional one, we bring the part from somewhere to the robot. The second one, newer, we put the robot on the AGV and we go where the parts are. So in practice, today we can have an AGV, a robot on the top, normal gripper, standard gripper, 3D sensor, and artificial intelligence leading everything, and doing something which is really flexible. In practice, what happened? Happened that algorithms, mathematics, and software substituted hardware. But there is also another, and this is in the part of handling and logistics, which is booming. If we consider another part, handling is 40% of robot application in the world, 40. If we consider another technology, which is additive manufacturing, also here we have something similar. We can add a 3D printer on a robot. A robot is the biggest 3D printer of the world, and easily we can create solutions out of this. Also here, the software, which is at the beginning of the process, as the flexible part. We can use CAD, we can use finite elements methods, generative design, and CAD, and so we have a standard thing which is really flexible. So basically, today we have a solution. We have robot systems which are composed by different technologies. Only one breakthrough in one of the components results in a breakthrough of the whole system. And if we have the combination of 2 or 3, it's even more dramatic. And this is the kingdom of unicorns, little or big. There can be different kind of unicorns. For example, the startup, the spin-off, the researchers, which can have a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, 3D scanner, robotics, and so on. A second is the system integrators, putting together all this stuff to create something unique. And the final unicorns are the companies, which can be both the big or the small and medium enterprise. The recipe here is clear. Proof of concept as soon as possible, maybe some failure, improvement, and put everything into operation and translate these into competitive advantages. There are several applications, several cases about that. Conclusion of the conclusion. Different concurrent technology are integrated into industrial robot and automation, and they are generating a new breed of robotic system, really, really flexible. This was one of the original promise of robotics more than 50 years ago, and it's happening. Moreover, and finally, the process is creating a lot of opportunities to unicorns to evolve dramatically and contribute, I would say, to a technical progress, the limit of which are even difficult to imagine now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arturo. You know, Arturo Baroncelli has been the manager of Comau, one of the largest robotics manufacturer and system integrators in the world. So his experience from the industrial customers is very, very solid. And now we have Francesco Ferro, who is in fact the founder of a company that would like to become a unicorn. And we would also like for him. Francesco, you are not very well connected, but please go on. Okay, thank you.
Okay, hola, Paolo, and thank you to give us the opportunity to speak a little bit about our experience. So probably we are not so unicorns, and it's not our aspiration to become a unicorns in the next years, but I would like to speak a little bit more about the COVID. So the first words would be about this pandemic period that we are experiencing. And we have seen a lot of changes. So I think the most important part in this month, in these weeks, was that now we are focusing more and more our attention in the real important things. That is not to make the best exoskeleton, the best humanoids, or the best robots ever, but to have these robots between us in a real life, working with us, in collaboration with us, and even the industry that usually is a controlled environment that is just thinking about automation and how to decrease the efficiency in the production line is experimenting that is not enough. So we have to completely change this kind of way of working in order to adapt to the new technology and use it in the real world. So making our experience, so what I can just give to you, because we are doing service robotics since 2004 now. So there are, yeah, a little bit, we are also part of Dinosaurs on this part on the service robotics in Europe. Our experience is just that at the moment, we are seeing that just research is not enough. So we need a lot of unicorns, like you can imagine, that could just apply this technology that at the moment, in our opinion, there are a lot of things that are already mature in order to be applied in the real world. And even the state, so for governmental point of view, so the politicians are seeing that these changes are important for the community. And so, for example, one important example is about healthcare. In the healthcare, we have seen that we already preview and we forecast that there are not enough nursery, we are not enough doctor to take care of the population that is just becoming elder and elderly. So we need solution that could help us in the real world. And so this is the important point, in my opinion, that we experimented in these days. But in our small contribution, we did several projects in order to help this. We are involved in several also European projects, and we are collaborating with different universities in order to apply this kind of technology. The example that I can give is in the healthcare system, for example, is an AGV, an AMR, so an autonomous mobile vehicle that is Jago-based, that we, during the worst period of pandemic, we just tested in order to deliver the food to the people that was in the hospital with the COVID. And so we had several platforms in the hospital in Barcelona and in Badalona. We did real pilots with this platform, and also to delivery things, because the time it was the most important part of that period, because speed, it was very important. Another example that we are working now, for example, in another hospital in Paris, is with our ARI robot, that is a service robot that could help the nursery at the entrance and could also help, the attendant people at the entrance, and could help in, like, not only receptionists, but also to, for example, give the gel dispenser, so it can give the gel for the washing the hand, for example, or also to continuously monitorize the temperature of the people that are in the room. So this is other things that we are doing, we are piloting, and this is an important part that, in my opinion, could really make the difference. And this difference is not just because Robotics did a great work. This is not the message. The message, in my opinion, it was that in the period of pandemic where everything is just failing, the collaboration, so collaborating with different partners and the university with the best researcher in order to really solve the problem is the key. And this is, in my opinion, the most important message that we have to take out from this period, that we are here. And also speaking now from evolutionary point of view, from dinosaurs and unicorn, like human race, we just survive because we collaborate. We collaborate and we just work together in order to solve the different problems, to just fight against the common enemies. And this is, in my opinion, what the pandemic period is just experimented. And so with this word, I think that it's more than enough. And then
yeah, thank you very much,
you will have
Francesco.
more questions. Thank you very much.
Of course, there will be questions and further discussion. Thank you very much. And now we move to Dr. Howard Cheung from the University of Hong Kong. Howard, are you connected?
Thank you, Professor Paolo Dario.
Yeah.
Sorry, I first time to use this.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
5 minutes, okay? Please remember. Thank you.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah. Not yet.
Oh yeah. Okay. Then I just speak. Okay. So actually I'm from the University of Hong Kong. My name is Howard Cheung, and my project topic is about the smart IoT and robotics embedded system for COVID-19 and healthcare. In the market, right? There's a lack of the integrated system for improving and monitoring the air quality by filtering and sterilizing the air. So this project is aimed at developing a smart IoT and robotics enabled system that can clean and sterilize the air for killing or inactivating the bacteria and viruses. Second, it can automate and optimize the business operations in healthcare organizations. For example, like the hospitals or the elderly care centers. The proposed system is an integration of a set of advanced technologies such as the IoT devices, sensors, robotics, mobile devices, cloud computing, and AI and machine learning. The system mainly consists a few key modules. The first is the smart robots for the air cleaning and sterilization and material handling in automatic manner. Second is the IoT enabled sensing units for real-time analysis of the air quality and the status of man, machines, and the material. The third is the cloud enabled platform for system management and the organization, the operations. The last one, the cloud platform has the suite of the mobile apps and the data mining and analytics algorithm with the AI and the machine learning abilities for optimize the scheduling and allocation of the resources for cleaning and sterilization operations. The system mainly consists the smart devices like the smart air cleaning and the sterilization robots and the smart RTMA sensing units. Also, there is a cloud platform that can real-time monitor the smart robots and the sensing units. Can also collect the data from the smart devices through the message broker like the MQTT broker. At the same time, the users can use their mobile phone to monitor the devices or to collect the data at any time and anywhere. The IoT sensing units can capture the environmental data such as the temperature, humidity, the carbon dioxide, VOC, and the particle density. Okay, such data can be real-time reported to a cloud platform through the wireless network, such as the Wi-Fi, 5G mobile network, and the LoRa. Okay, in order to achieve the effective communication, the IoT protocols such as the web services and the MQTT can be used in the sensing devices. Okay, so our smart sterilization robots are powered by the ROS, and we can support various the navigation technology such as the laser target navigation and the SLAM navigation and so on. Also, it can support various cleaning and sterilization technologies such as the ozone, UVC, and the chemical filtering. And in addition, right, the robots can be connected to the cloud service through the RAS network, like the Wi-Fi, 5G mobile network, and LoRa. Okay, and so in Hong Kong, we have already developed smart air cleaning and sterilization robot prototype that integrates the ozone-enabled air cleaning, air sterilization, and the acoustic air filtration and purification technologies. The video I have demonstrated the prototypes, and later on maybe you can take a look about the prototypes. Okay, thank you. And also the in this project, we have the industry partner. There is the Star company. That designed some the smart delivery robots that have been applied to some Hong Kong hospitals to deliver the items to the quarantine wards that can help the workers to minimize or to get the infections. Okay, so the chairman, that's all. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Cheung. I'd like to move now to the final three speakers, Professor Maria Pia Fanti. Start with you, Maria Pia.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah, can see you.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. And I would like to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Maybe you can put in presentation mode.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Now, yes, new green delivery and transportation strategies during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to talk about how the COVID-19 has affected logistics in particular. Indeed, COVID-19 posed a new requirement, demand in transportation issues during and after the crisis. And in the logistics area, COVID-19 pandemic has determined consequent modification, in particular in the last mile delivery. For instance, some new vehicles can be used, in particular autonomous vehicles, drones, light electric vehicles. You can see some example about robots for transport goods in China, or six-wheeled vehicles in Hamburg, a robot to deliver during the lockdown in USA. And in particular, light electric transport means for transport and delivery can be used, such as cargo bikes, motorcycles, three wheels. And in order to use share vehicle, are necessary also some sharing services for this kind of electric vehicles. Moreover, it is necessary also to consider the new infrastructure in the cities, and also new services. About the new infrastructures for logistics, for last mile logistics, I can recall some new sustainable urban logistics plans for last mile delivery, where the city can be divided in city islands that are densely populated areas where the parking area are not sufficient. Moreover, each city island can be divided in micro-hubs that are small local hubs that serve all the final destination that pertaining to the city island. And moreover, this last mile delivery can be helped by new strategic platform. In particular, also in Europe, some new project develop this kind of platform that integrate logistics, last mile logistics, and mobility. In particular, mobility as a service. You can see that you can have a set of services that are connected with the real system, and the real system is connected with the user by communication devices, and coordination and decision mode are devoted to perform some suitable services. Demand responsive services, onboard services, driver services, and so on. The goal is the optimization of loading policies, the optimization for reducing empty miles, for improving delivery and the transport efficiency. Among the new strategies for proposing these new services, I would like to recall some automation tools and technologies that are based on camera-based object tracking, or the precise location brought by the European Satellite and Navigation Services. Moreover, the application of artificial intelligent technologies are important, for instance, based on also digital twins for diagnosis and monitoring such very complex systems. Finally, some European Europe program about in order to obtain sustainable mobility, but also very good last mile logistics. And the object is digitalize the system, the mobility of the system, the logistics, the smart traffic management. And the goal is to make Europe as a leadership in safe and sustainable road transport. This is through automation, obviously, robotics. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Fanti. Thanks a lot for your for pointing out to the innovations in logistics, the basic ones. And I'd like to continue now with Professor Marcelo Ang from the National University of Singapore. Marcelo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll share my screen quickly. I hope you can see it. Okay, the keywords are...
Yes, we can.
You can see are unstructured and human environments. So let's pay attention to these two keywords. So the goal is to move towards everyday robotics, structured environment in the factory, very successful. There is human-robot separation. How do we go to our supermarket aisles, to our hospital wards, our homes, shopping malls, schools, etc. Everything else except the factory where it's unstructured. If you see my office, you know how unstructured it is, where there is no separation between human and robot. How do we move from factories designed for robots to intelligent robots adapting to spaces designed for human beings? So what is the ultimate robotic tool? It's a machine. It's a tool. What is a tool? It cannot operate by itself. It still needs a human. And here, a mobile manipulator is a very good example of this tool. A vehicle that moves around, mobility, but on top of the vehicle, there must be an arm to do something, right? And this machine, hardware, must have some intelligence to make it understand the environment and to have low-level instant action without thinking so much, and high-level intelligence too, to make it safe, right? And the killer applications are this: everything else except the factory, moving the robot out of the factory. I summarize them in the 5 Ds of robotics: dangerous tasks, demeaning tasks, degrading tasks, dirty tasks such as cleaning toilets. And more recently, 10 years ago, I started working on driving, right? Autonomous vehicles. Because I think to bring the robot out of the factory or the AGV out of the factory, what is the most unstructured environment is the public roads, right? Where there are human beings, human drivers. Now let's look at human-robot collaboration. I like to use a slide something like this, where if you look at the task of driving a vehicle, maybe that is someone here, that's driving a vehicle, that's today. The machine does something, some intelligence is done by the machine. The human does something also, the human. What is the intelligence of the machine? Is like cruise control, right? Adaptive cruise control, maintaining a distance from the vehicle in front. So the human still drives the vehicle, but there's a machine autonomy doing it. And we should keep improving, raising the bar. So we go down here. At the same time, now, can we have the machine do more and the human do less? And this is demonstrated by Tesla's autopilot, where you have really human is prepared to take over. And this is never ending. You can keep going down. And as we look at technology and how it will affect human life, whether you're a dinosaur or a unicorn, it doesn't really matter. We should always think of reinventing ourselves. How can we make a robotic machine with mobility, with an arm, with intelligence? We have this. How can we apply this? Can we think of new applications right? That will make our life much better. Now, how do we do this? What are the gaps? We need a better body. We cannot have the one on the left. We want something on the right that is cute, right? Something like Baymax that's lovable and inherently safe. So even if it's not so accurate, it hits you because it's with you. You don't get hurt. You need a better mind. A better mind means low-level intelligence, reflex action. I touch something hot, it will move very fast without me thinking. No fancy decision making. It can also be called compliant motion. And higher level intelligence at different levels of highness, if you will, right? A hierarchy of intelligence. And there are two kinds of intelligence, right? On the left is a flowchart-like intelligence. This is the traditional process-based intelligence or model-based intelligence based on scientific law, where we say this is a flowchart of how the world works. And given we know how the world works, we can control it in the way we want it by using this model. But there are many things in life that we cannot put as a flowchart. For example, walking or driving a vehicle. Is that a flowchart? No, we learn from experience. Somehow on the right is our human brain, our neural activity. Somehow this can be given to the human being. The data is given to human being, and the intelligence is sort of learned through a data-driven intelligence. So this is the classic debate between a process-driven and a data-driven, and which to use, we have to use both, and to take advantage of the strength of both, and to create what we all call human-centered robotics, where the human is the center for robot as a tool for human, and this robot must be a mobile manipulator. Answering two important questions, raising the bar of this mobile manipulator. As you continue raising the bar, right, to make it more and more intelligent, more and more useful, but the human's still in the loop. The human will also raise the bar of its expectations. And we need to answer the second question, how to collaborate both ways. How does a human tell the robot what it wants it to do? How the robot asks for help from the human, and this keeps going on back and forth. So these are some of our work in NUS in Singapore. Singapore is very interested in autonomous vehicles as a means of public transportation. That's why I started working on it about 11 years ago. And these are the cars we have. But can you imagine a world where, in addition to these cars, you can put arms on them? So we can have the delivery man, the postman, right? Or in logistics, right? You can have this delivering items. Now, especially in the pandemic situation, right? You need to be able to deliver goods, but then you don't want to expose the robot to the infected person, right? So perhaps the robot goes to outside your hotel when you're quarantined, has an arm, picks up the package, puts it on the floor, and goes away and rings the doorbell through a remote mobile phone. And then the patient or the person quarantined can open the door and pick up the good, right? For example, we cannot do that. Why? Vehicles can move around, but there's no arm, right? So if once you put an arm, what is exciting about logistics and transportation is the first step to move robotic systems out of the factory to everyday life, to the public, unstructured human environment. And we do that. And this is land vehicles. We have projects also on the air, drone, flying arms. That is exciting too. And also vehicles in the water, boats, or even underwater doing some remote cleaning of the barnacles under the seabed, under the ship of in the ocean or in the sea. So it's exciting times. The mobile manipulator with a better body and better intelligence. That's what we all have to work together to make us all, whether dinosaurs, unicorns, to always become unicorns throughout life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marcelo. Let's move to our final speaker. Hope that if he will stay in 5 minutes, we will be able to still have some time for discussion, and this will be the case. So now we're going to fly. And so Professor Ivan Maza will show with us the drone logistics.
Thank you, Paolo. It is a pleasure to have the opportunity to participate in this interesting workshop. In this topic about logistics, we will address now drone logistics, as you mentioned, during the COVID pandemic and beyond in shared skies. Here we have a summary of recent logistics applications of drones, which was published online in the paper in the green box below. And in this table, the logistics applications for drones are divided into 4 areas: retailing and e-commerce, postal services and mail delivery, food and drink delivery, and healthcare and emergency services. We can see, for instance, here Amazon that announced in 2013 the idea of using drones with important media coverage, introducing that possibility to apply this technology in logistics for the public in general. We can see also important logistics companies such as UPS or DHL. In the food industry, there is a good size-to-weight ratio for food items, and the short time deliveries of drones is relevant for fresh food or meal delivery. And in healthcare and emergency services, given the small size and lightweight, also the high value and high urgency of medical supplies such as blood samples, organs, and medicines, drones is an efficient mode of transportation for these items. Drone deliveries have started to gain more and more attention during this pandemic. They were used to bring COVID testing samples to laboratories, which helped the quick diagnosis. In addition, drones were used to safely transport medical supplies into hospitals with COVID patients. And for example, during China's COVID outbreak, drone operators and the Chinese government accelerated their national pilot programs. And in the United States, to facilitate a wider implementation of autonomous drone delivery, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, granted drone right waivers to help fight the pandemic. And in addition, 10 UAS has received airworthiness criteria for certification, also from the FAA. Here you have the list of companies, and this is a crucial step to enabling more complex drone operations, including package delivery. Here we have a list with relevant challenges. So safety is a very crucial aspect. So in the aircraft, we need, of course, redundancy, but also in the aircraft design, we need to have some kind of airframe design to limit damages to people and properties in case of an accident. Some ideas could be to have soft materials or parachute mechanisms to limit the speed in the impact. And privacy is also important, so we need encrypted communication, and communication should be redundant. This is a key aspect for situational awareness of the drone, and also for other drones or manned aircraft in the area. Related also to situational awareness, we need to implement onboard detect and avoid solutions, and regulatory barriers are also important. So we have to know very well the regulatory framework in the country where we want to operate. We have to work with the authorities to properly understand this framework, to get the different permissions and certifications. And in general, in many countries, some kind of risk assessment methodology should be applied. Public acceptance of this technology is another key point. So a few days ago, the European Aviation Safety Agency published a study on the societal acceptance of urban air mobility in Europe, and the public opinion was very positive in general, above 80%. However, I would recommend to consider the public acceptance in the particular area or city where we plan the operations. And finally, our drone is not alone in the skies. There are more drones from other companies and recreational use, and also manned aviation. So supporting diverse operations requires a scalable and accessible approach to data sharing, which goes beyond traditional ATM. So then our drones should be integrated in the UTM, which is the Unmanned Aerial Systems Traffic Management. Here in Europe, it is called U-Space, and we have been involved in several related projects, and different services are being defined to support UTM. And there are many opportunities for unicorns that can develop a full UTM service provider application, or specific services for these digital ecosystems, such as tactical deconfliction for the drones, electronic identification, jet awareness, and others. So to conclude, the final message is very optimistic. There are many opportunities for unicorns to help and collaborate with the dinosaurs, from the aircraft design to be safe in case of impact, to the software development of autonomous functionalities on board, and also in the development of services for the UTM digital ecosystem. So that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ivan. So we have 20 minutes for discussion, and we have some questions. I like to ask all the speakers to be quick, short in their answers. And so let's start with these three questions. So one is for Marcelo Ang, actually by Christian Leger. Thank you, Christian. And he essentially would like to ask you about the human interaction and acceptability issues. Could you briefly comment on this crucial point?
Thank you, Christian, for the question. Singapore, as you may know, is quite a unique society. The residents of Singapore are very pro-technology. They are very open to the latest technology. They want to be the first to take advantage to improve the quality of life. And that's why, for example, in autonomous vehicle, the whole Western Singapore is now open for testing of autonomous vehicles. And it's really like that. So it's very much accepted, and not only on robotic cars, but also robots and technology in general. So it's no issue at all. They're very happy to take advantage of that. And the government is giving a lot of incentives for the company too, whether the company is from Singapore or anywhere in the world. The value proposition of Singapore, please come to Singapore. Let ours be our living lab to test your technology. Our guinea pigs. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo. I'd like to ask a question
Yes.
from the audience to Maria Pia Fanti, but I would also like to ask the same to Ivan Maza and maybe also to Francesco Ferro. The question is almost the same. So do you see more probable the diffusion of ground or air autonomous vehicle? Maria Pia.
Yes. The problem of autonomous vehicle that fly is that there are a lot of rules that it is necessary to overcome. So also for other vehicles, for instance, autonomous vehicles on the road, it is necessary to have some rules. But I think that is more complex for drones. So the future is, I think, for both. But for drones, the rules are more strictly.
You know, actually, there are autonomous ships coming also, you know, so actually, yeah. Okay, then to maybe Ivan,
Yes.
what do you think? You are on the drone side.
Yeah. I also agree with Maria, because you have in the United States FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and here in Europe we have the European Aviation Safety Agency, and it is a complex regulatory environment. But some advances has been done recently. Here we have in Europe a new regulation that is started to apply in January this year, where different categories are considered for depending on the application. We have the open category, and then we have the specific category and the certified category, and it depends. The different categories are addressing different risk level for the operation, but in any case, for example, there has been some kind of great steps forward. For example, in the United States, Wing, which is a company which is a subsidiary of Alphabet, they were the first company to receive a Part 135 air carrier certificate from the FAA for commercial drone operation out of the line of sight of the pilot. And this company, Wing, is currently operating in 3 continents, in Europe, in Finland, in Helsinki, also in Australia, in Canberra and Logan, and also in Virginia, in the United States. So they are currently performing drone delivery in those cities with pilots. And right now, anyone from those cities can download their application for mobile phone and ask for food or any other supply delivery. So that's a great step forward.
So, yeah, so they are coming. But I like, you know, I said before that autonomous ships are coming. I'm also saying that autonomous zeppelins are coming. I like zeppelins very much, you know, because of their autonomy, and they're coming back after the tragedy, you know, in New York. And this will be another very interesting challenge. So I move to, thank you very much. I move to Howard, but also to Francesco, because one question is, I think very important, is about, are the hospitals structurally robust to enable the effective use of smart devices and smart robots? I mean, we have robots, but are the infrastructure able to deploy, you know, to include these solutions right now? So, Francesco, Howard.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Actually, this is the pilot project, right? We try to develop the smart robots that can be used to do the clean and air cleaning and the sterilization in healthcare organizations, like the in Hong Kong, like the elder care center or the hospitals. I think during the implementation, right, we of course we need to overcome some challenges by the collision detection, and so we now will to enhance the robots, okay, to do the to deliver the items or to do the air cleaning and sterilization in autonomous way. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Francesco. Your point of view?
I have to say that there are 2 different points. For one side, in my opinion, the robots are already able to try to solve some use cases that at the moment can help a lot inside the hospital. Okay, we are doing a couple of examples in a couple of different European projects. One is called Spring, another one is Shapes. And like I said, also in my 5 minutes, is about in the reception, but also like a companion or also guiding people inside the hospital. But there are also the possibility to deliver things inside the hospital. And then, but in this case, we have to think to adapt the robotics to the things that are already in place. And then the second option that will be a little bit more disruptive is to use, to implement new use case. So there are different cases in Europe also with some new building and some new hospital where it was already in the design of the hospital, the presence of a robot like a tool. So some cobots that could be used like a tool, a new tool that could help inside the normal, let me say, work in the healthcare. Okay, so it could be in rehabilitation, could be for moving objects to help people and also to interact with them. But these are, in my opinion, the 2 different things that has to be taken into account.
Paolo, I'd like to add a comment to your question.
Right.
You asked, is the infrastructure ready? I think that's not the correct question. The question should be, are the robots ready? because the key is, can the robots be ready using our existing infrastructure, which are designed for human beings? So we don't want to modify the infrastructure, right?
Okay.
And I have
That's a very
yes,
yeah.
please.
No, I was saying this is a very good point that, in fact, anticipates what I would like to ask to Giovanni, Sami,
Yes,
and maybe with the participation of Arturo and, in fact, any other. The point that Sami and Giovanni, as economists, because this is really a very important issue, is in a sense confidence and less confidence in robotics technology as it is today. So Giovanni made a very important point. Is in his opinion, the maturity of digital technology is much higher than the maturity of robotic technology. Sami was a bit more optimistic and pointing out the role of increasing the social, I would say, augmenting or at least letting people to socially interact in a better way thanks to robotics and related technology. So what do you see, Giovanni? I see you there. I don't see. Okay, Sami is there. After maybe the presentation, the discussion, what is your feeling as an answer to your question or your feeling? Do you feel more comfortable or still very skeptical?
Can I begin?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to give the impression that I say is a dead end. I mean, I wanted to introduce a caution on the gradualism that necessarily is involved in the diffusion of intelligent automation. I mean, my point is that electricity took more than a century to fully diffuse in its application, and I think that it will be the case before you have what Marcelo Ang called complex problem solving associated with robots, especially in unstructured human environments. That was my note of caution. Second, I want, and this I want to reemphasize, we are sort of at a crossroad. I mean, we can have a trajectory that is toward the substitution of machine to robots, to humans, and the use of technology to control. And this I think is terrible. The other trajectory is toward a greater complementarity and a diffusion of the power of humans over the machine. What I see now, and this has been accelerated by COVID, is the emphasis on control. Social control, I mean, look at the Chinese experience, and micro control, especially in the factories, but social at large. Okay. What I find, I mean, if you look at the few descriptions that you have of the complementarity human robots at Amazon, you see that Amazon uses humans as a robot, controlled by the robots. And I mean, they've got this 3D, they've got sensors. I mean, they are made as a sort of more intelligent arms of the robots, which is bloody terrible. Okay. We've got to control that and resist that. That is
as usually, Giovanni is very provocative, and it's very important for us because, in fact, other positions like Sami's position, Francesco Ferro's position, were about and also Arturo, is about the potential of collaborative robots. You know, there is a wide consensus in the robotics community that the future is about collaborative robotics. But what you are saying is that in the collaboration, actually, the robot would win. What is your opinion, Sami?
Can you hear me well now? Because we've had
Yeah,
problems
yes,
with the sound system. Yeah. No, I don't see a conflict there. I think what Giovanni is saying is that we have to be cautious and careful when we design these technologies, that they are working for the advantage of whom I call the agent, the worker, the consumer, and not the principal. It's not just another tool to subdue the agent to the desires and will and intention of the principal or the capitalist or the owner of the production tools. But what I wanted to also in a way question and caution about is the new disparities and inequalities that will emerge from the spread of these new technologies. I mean, the world has not become more even after the introduction of new generations of technologies. The gap between the poor countries and the rich countries has widened, even within the same countries, within societies, between professions, large companies, small companies, companies with deep pockets, and companies that don't have the resources. So we also need to take all these things into consideration and to factor all these aspects in to make sure that the new technology is there to empower those that need to be empowered, as opposed to empower capital, if you want to use the economics term. So it's really about design, how we design these technologies, and whose agency is it that we are trying to enhance and to extend and to empower. We have to be very careful that this does not lead to another wave of massive inequalities within societies and across countries, because we're already beginning to witness that.
Very good point. Arturo, do you have some comments in 2 minutes, because then we have
yes, 2 minutes, 2 remarks. From a technical point of view, I know that there are a lot of steps to be done. In the good old times when we made the conference, always I had a tie, and I said to all the professors and technicians and engineers, okay, everything will be okay when you cannot and I'm not my tie. So when you have a robot, myself, I'm not in my tie, and they putting it to me again, it will be a technical, very big technical. We are very far from that. Second, okay, I should ask Giovanni and Sam, it's more economical. I think that for the first time, the technology is doing something. For the last thousands of years, technology has substituted this, the hands of human being with automation. Now we are
the legs also.
The hands, and not that very well, as I have said before. Okay, but now for the first time they are trying to substitute this, and so also the models. There are no models, because who has tried to substitute the head of the people before? This is my remark. So from a technological point of view, yes, we have a lot of things to do, but what is the impact of artificial intelligence substituting that is a big issue.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that we have to close. I just like to say a few things, if you allow me. There are some very nice questions that will go unanswered, but I hope that we will be able to communicate. So Christian Leger actually was willing to ask the same issue about human interaction and acceptability to Maria Pia Fanti, but there is no time to answer. Another point very important is all these technologies require more and more energy and connectivity. How compatible is this with a greener world? That is in fact a very fundamental issue. And another is about is or are the legislation progressing quick enough to be in time when technology is ready? So I apologize for with the audience and with the speaker not to have time to allow them to answer, but thanks for all these questions. One point is, from now on, if you allow me, I will always ask Giovanni and Sami to participate in our event, because I really start hating discussions between ourselves, roboticists. I believe that there are discussions with the doctors for medical robotics. We must have discussions with economists who could give a critical and controversial but constructive point of view with this. So thanks to them. I conclude by reminding all of you that there are the presentations by all speakers on YouTube. This same event is recorded and will be available. Thanks again to the speakers for their fantastic contribution to the audience we had, and also to our background team, Rossella in particular, and more recently to Maza and Simonetta, who made a lot of hard work behind the scenes. Thank you very much. We should have been in Xi'an, but unfortunately, but maybe next time, next year,
Next time.
to see and drink something together. So thank you very much. Have a pleasant.
Thank you to you. Thank you
evening
to
or
everybody.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody. Stay
Bye.
healthy and take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank
Bye.
you.